What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys. And today, ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. This is crazy. If you told me this months ago, I would have laughed at you. I would have wanted to believe you. Wouldn't have actually. I would think I would have laughed at you. But here we are. Crazy NFC Championship matchup. Again, something that I will get into. This is kind of like a part one to like a really long episode. In this specific episode, we're going to talk about the Washington game and how we kind of got here, and just kind of how we thought coming into this game, because I was really busy last week, so we're going to kind of talk about that into the actual outcome of this game. And then next week, I'm going to record one just talking about the Super Bowl itself and how we stack up against the Chiefs. I'm going to try to get probably someone else to help me out with part two. So keep an eye out for that. I don't think it'll be Caleb, because as we know, if you've been following, Caleb is a Commanders guy. So I asked him, I was like, you don't have to, because it is a little soon. And the guy goes to Penn State, so everyone there is a Eagles fan, so I can only imagine he's probably hearing it. But he said he's going to do a post one after the Super Bowl, just like to break down the year / go right into baseball / basketball. So let's start up here. So before I kind of start, I was going to let you know, for some reason the camera's glitchy, but we're just going to deal with it. So here we go. Eagles, Commanders. I did a blog last week, even though I couldn't podcast. I did a blog last week saying that this was something that I did not think was going to happen. Eagles hosting the NFC Championship this year. I would have, like, what? Like, if you told me that the Lions were going to lose, I think Caleb and I did a podcast where I was like, yeah, it's going to be Chiefs Lions in the Super Bowl, because I thought we were going to go to Detroit. Detroit was going to beat us. But somehow, some way, those Commanders beat the Lions, which was crazy. I mean, Jaden Daniels is, just happy we got him this time, because in the next few years, I don't know if we're going to get him. So that's kind of my initial thought. Jaden Daniels is an absolute star. He needs like a rising star. The guy's 24 years old. I mean, it's funny because it was the first matchup between the Eagles and the Commanders that usually a rookie quarterback coming to Philly for the first time, they're very shaky and physically, like you're like, okay, they look like, they're running through the reads way too fast, like their mind moving too fast, like all the rookie stuff. But it was very odd that on that Thursday night game against the Eagles, Jaden Daniels, no, he did not have the greatest game. Yes, he did not have the greatest game, but at the same time, he was slightly hurt in that game. But I could tell that, yes, the Eagles fans were amazing that game, but it wasn't really phasing him. And that could be because of all of his time at LSU and, SEC football, and he's seen it all. He's seen it all. He's seen the Saban. He's seen the Kirby Smart. He's seen all of that, which kind of goes to show how important it is to play in a Big Five, the Power Five or Power Four now. Especially down south with Alabama, LSU, Georgia. You can keep going. Texas in there now. Like it goes to show that how crazy those crowds are compared to NFL fans. Because obviously, the link's always rocking, but it's nothing compared to anything in the SEC. So I thought that was very interesting the first time we played them, and the second time we played the Commanders. Not that I was worried about it, but we lost. But at the same time, it was Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett came in with it honestly looked like not a whole lot of practice. Because they were game planning for Jalen Hurts, and Hurts got that concussion in that game. And then they just stacked the box against Saquon Barkley. So, it's fine. That game, I got a lot, I'm not gonna lie, I got a lot of trash talk from those Commanders fans especially when I got back here. Because that game happened to break, and then I got back to Virginia and JMU, and I got a lot of trash talk for a Kenny Pickett ran Eagles team losing by 2 points. So that's I thought that was very odd. Which initially I was like, wow, the Commanders fans like what is why? Are you really that proud? You know what I mean? It was just very, very odd to me. But yeah, so those two matchups happened. So going into this game, I wasn't really. Initially, I thought we were going to lose by a point or two, or a field goal. I was talking to my roommates about this. We all know Philadelphia fans are the most anxious fans you possibly come around. It's initially with that Commanders game, I was thinking of the Phillies Mets, and how the Mets obviously were not the better team, like on paper. The Phillies had much better players, but the Mets were freaking hot. Same thing with the Phillies when they made it to the World Series against the Astros. To be honest, they were statistically / on paper not as good as the Braves, not as good. I mean, probably equal to the Padres. The Padres had a very similar thing because they beat the Dodgers. And I thought they were better than the Cardinals. I thought that was expected, but it was the Braves one that I was like, we are on paper not as good. So, but we were hot. So like sometimes in the playoffs, if you're hot, you're hot. Like that's just what it comes down to. So that was also a thought, which is why I thought we were going to lose initially. And then as that Saturday night into Sunday morning, I was like, the more I think about it, the more I think about it. I had a weird feeling Jalen Hurts was going to go crazy just because of all the reports from Elliott Shore Parks. Jordan Mailata was saying how mobile he was, even though his knee was a thing. And then I thought about it. I was like, this is just the media wanting people to watch this game. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe, yes, I will tell you right now, like to your face, Jalen Hurts did not look good in either one of those two first games. That Packers game was atrocious. That was hard to watch. And it was very weird because I was like, wow, I really don't want to play the Rams. Like, I would have much rather played the Vikings. And then we ended up playing the Rams, which is fine. And the snow happened. I think that game goes into overtime if there's no snow, because that game was amazing. So just a thought. So going into this game, I was very, very hesitant on how much I would believe in Jalen Hurts. Because I mean, you guys can go back and watch. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. Like I believe in him. I believe in the mindset. I believe in the mentality. I believe in all of it. Not a Sirianni guy, but a Jalen Hurts guy. And and then as I just said, Sunday morning and Saturday night, I was like, you know what? I have a weird feeling that Jalen Hurts might go off. And you already knew Saquon was going to go off. Did I know he was going to go off first play? Absolutely not. That was amazing. I watched with a bunch of Commanders fans. That was shocking to them. And just to go into the game now, when they took 18 plays to score 3 points and went for it on fourth twice, most people I think would have been like, oh, I don't this is not good. They moved the ball down the field. But in my head, I'm like, you just took 18 plays, 18 to score only 3 points. I don't know why they just didn't keep going for fourth downs. Especially if it's working, just ride with it. I don't know. That was very, very weird to me. And then I was like, you know what? I think we got this. And that's an honest to God, you could ask everyone that was watching with. I wasn't really shaken at that point, and I was like, I have a good feeling. When I was shaken was when we were going for it on 4th and 5, and we were only up, I think it was 14-12, I think, and decided to do a go route with A.J. Brown, and worked out. I think Sanders still was on him. Solid young corner. Will be an issue in about 2 years, but right now, it's Eagles time, man. It's the Eagles time, and as soon as AJ made that catch, it was a beautiful throw from Hurts because they blitzed the hell out of him. I had a good feeling. Let's just say that I had a good feeling. And then we ended up winning big. So I mean, and then coming out of the game, I was just like, oof, Jalen Hurts looked really good, really good. Throwing the ball. I mean, they're honestly, the more I think about it, the more lucky I think they are that Saquon had that calf thing. They didn't really say it was a injury or whatever, but at the same time, it wasn't really great. He was out for a little bit and for a few drives just because he was. They kept showing me he had the massage gun. He was just massaging his calf. Cool. But yeah, so I think they're honestly lucky. We could have hung 60 something on them when Saquon could have 200. So I think they're lucky in that case. But Jalen Hurts picked him up, as I thought going into that day that he would, and he crushed it. He crushed it. That's the only thing I got. He crushed it. And me from Virginia, I mean, it was beautiful to watch the Commanders fans all stop, chirping in my ear for doing nothing. Yes, you beat the Bucks. Congrats. The Bucks had 7 losses. That's how I feel. And same thing with the Lions. The Lions were great. Lions healthy. Probably the best team in the league on paper and probably on the field too. But oddly enough, they got way too cute with their play calls, and I guess that's how they've kind of survived this entire year. Like, I thought it was very weird that you're doing a trick play with James Williams when you need to score points. I guess the deception part is like a real thing, and that's all Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's a genius. I'll 100% give you that. And I'm assuming in the post Super Bowl podcast, Caleb and I we'll talk about how we think next year is going to go. And I think that Bears team is going to be really good because Ben Johnson's a genius, and I think he's going to crush it with Caleb Williams. If he crushed it with Jared Goff, then he could crush it with Caleb Williams. That's how I think. So that was very interesting to me. So coming into this game, I was like, we'll see. I mean, it's the Commanders, you know. We've beat them once, and they had a fluky second win against us. So I was like, okay, we'll see. And then we ended up getting the job done. And something I kind of wanted to think about going into this game was I was very hesitant about. I don't know how to phrase this, but I was very hesitant about the Week 5 bye week. I was like, this sucks. Like, it's the beginning of the year. Like, oh my God, this sucks. But in the end, I thought that was kind of the turning point of our season. We were 2-2 going into Week 5, and then we had that bye week. I myself, along with a ton of people on the radio, a ton of analysts, were calling for Nick Sirianni's job, saying like, this guy just isn't it. Clean slate. Let's go win Super Bowl without him. And then he comes out of the bye week, yells at the fans, shaves his head, yells at the fans, makes me hate him even more. But then all of a sudden, literally loses one game from there all out. And who knows if we really lose that Commanders game if Jalen Hurts stays healthy too. So that was very interesting to me. And listen, I've never really seen a turnaround like that in a long time, especially in football. Like that goes for me in line with the Trey Turner thing. Like all of a sudden you give him a standing ovation, blah, blah, blah. But all of a sudden you literally lose one game. We haven't lost in 2025 yet, knock on wood. So I'm going to do that. But think about that. Like, that's crazy. Just to think about that. We haven't lost since that, and since the Commanders game. I don't even count the Commanders game. So just something I was thinking about coming into this game. And I put up a blog. I broke it down. And I actually called for a big Jalen Hurts game and a big Saquon Barkley game. Hurts happened and Barkley kind of happened, but he got dinged up. Something I also mentioned in my blog is I want everybody to stop thinking about this Eagles team as a traditional offense. It's not. It's just not. It's instead of the pass game opening up everything with the deep, like with all the explosive plays and getting first downs and all that, it is completely flipped. While, like, usually in a traditional offense, the running game complements the passing game. That's just where we are in football nowadays. And it didn't used to be like that, but that's just where we are. But with this team, this offensive line is so good, and Saquon Barkley is the best running back on the planet, that it's almost completely flipped. The passing game is supposed to support the running game. The running game creates all the explosive plays. I mean, the Commanders game, obviously, you had the big A.J. Brown catch, you had a bunch of other plays, but for the most part, you saw that Barkley first play. And the Rams game, you had two massive Saquon Barkley runs. And I feel like in every game, Saquon has like some crazy long run. And that's what I mean. And Saquon, it's not just like the crazy 60-yard run. He all of a sudden will rip off a 10-yard run, 15-yard run, 20-yard run. He and that offensive line are the ones that create these explosive plays, while Jalen Hurts and that offense is the RPO, and that more complements the run. So that's just how I like to think of it. I think that's how we should approach it, because instead of just shitting on Jalen Hurts, being like, oh, he's not doing this, this, and this, and this, he's not really supposed to. Not in this offense. In another offense, he you could totally say this, but when he's only throwing like less than 20 times a game, then how do you really blame him? It's not his fault. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say that he's not like perfect. So I'm not going to say that he is perfect, because he does take a lot of sacks, and a lot of sacks where you could fully just throw it away, like just run and throw. Like, it's not. One of my biggest pet peeves about Jalen Hurts is him sliding behind line of scrimmage. Like especially when he's scrambling, like, to just throw it in someone's vicinity. It's way harder than what I'm saying. I'm going to acknowledge that right now. It's way harder than what I'm saying. But at the same time, throw it away. But at the same time, you have to stop thinking about Jalen Hurts as this explosive, like, got to make all these explosive plays. Throw it 50 yards down the field to Devontae Smith. He'll do that once. Or he'll throw it 40 yards to A.J. Brown for a touchdown. He'll do that once. But you're more relying on Saquon Barkley getting 20 to 30 carry a game and being successful. And I know people are sick of people saying this, but I'm going to say it. Jalen Hurts is a winner. Jalen Hurts knows how to win. And if I'm Sirianni, this week and next week, I think my entire thought process is win. No matter what it takes, no matter if Jalen Hurts has 80 yards or 300 yards, no matter if Saquon Barkley has 100 yards or 400 yards, win the game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stats don't matter anymore. And that's what I kind of got wrapped up on going into the Rams game. I was like, wow, like Jalen Hurts looked really bad. He didn't have any passing yards. He didn't really run that much. Everything, whatever. And then I started thinking about, like, who cares? Like, stats were a thing in the regular season, and stats are a thing that you could look back on in the regular season. You get remembered for wins. You don't get remembered really for, like, your passing touchdowns or the passing yards. You're like, oh, this game, yeah. Winning, I feel like winning in most cities, maybe not Philly, but I'm trying to make Jalen Hurts look a little better. Winning solves everything. If Jalen Hurts throws for 116 yards and they lose, and it's Jalen Hurts' fault, but if Jalen Hurts throws for 116 yards and we win, then we win and we move on. That's kind of how I'm approaching these playoffs. Just win. I don't care how it works. I don't care, especially with the offense, because the offense is probably on paper one of the best offenses in the entire league. Probably one of the best wide receiver duos. I would say a top 13 quarterback, a number 1 running back, and I would say a top 7 tight end. And then, in my opinion, the number 1 offensive line. So on paper, this offense is absolutely ridiculous. While I have not talked about this side of the ball at all yet, but I'm going to now. And I honestly haven't hit it yet because I think we all know how amazing that defense is. That defense is next level. This might be the best defense I've ever seen in my lifetime. I was born in 2003. Do that math. I'm 21. In my 21 years, I don't think I've ever seen defense like this. That being said, that 2017 defense was awesome. It was. And it'll be, they're all legends. They will all be legends forever because they are the first one. But I think this defense is better. Especially, I mean, I'm going to go on, talk about this in part 2 next week. But I'm going to say confidently that this defense is way better than the defense in 2022. Think about it. I think Reed Blankenship is better than Marcus Epps. I'm taking Quinyon Mitchell over James Bradbury easily. Fletcher Cox I love Fletcher Cox. He's a legend. But I think Jalen Carter is better than Fletcher Cox, especially at that point, like 2022 Fletcher, 2024 Jalen. Jalen Carter better. I can go on, and how about this? Cooper DeJean is better than Vontae Maddox back then, and still is. So that's kind of how I'm also approaching this. Like, this defense is ridiculous. These linebackers are ridiculous. I don't think anyone's talking about Orion Burks enough. The tackling this guy's been doing and covering for Nakobe Dean, who initially I was like, damn, Nakobe Dean is a stud. I don't even know how we're gonna, I thought we were gonna see more Jeremiah Trotter and Orion Burks and just have them go, mix and matching. But it's a majority Orion Burks, and he has been playing amazing. His tackling has been fantastic, and he's been doing everything that he's needed to be doing, and it's pretty fun to watch. And I mean, everyone talks about it, but I'm just gonna say it, like, this defense just feels different. Vic Fangio has them playing at a certain level. Zach Bond is a stud. I can go, everywhere. Darius Slay is good. Probably his last year here because we're not going to pay him. But if we end up winning, then he'll become a legend. And my entire thought as well, I think Sirianni needs to portray to these players, is right now you've made it to the Super Bowl. Congrats, you are all heroes. However, if you want to become legends, you have to win this game. Win this game, and you're legends, and you'll never be forgotten. Heroes are usually like I'll give you an example. Like in that 2022 year, like Miles Sanders is a hero in that. He's awesome. Running behind one of the greatest offensive lines ever. Amazing. But at the same time, he will not be remembered. I mean, this goes easily, but it's because Saquon's way better. But if Saquon ends up winning, then I don't know, like Saquon's automatically has a better Eagles stat, like, resume than Miles Sanders because he's won. You can even flip it. Imagine Saquon Barkley lost and then he left the year after, right? In 2020, he left in 2023, like Miles Sanders. But Miles Sanders won the Super Bowl. We would all probably be like, yo, like, love Saquon, but Miles Sanders is freaking awesome because he won the Super Bowl. You are heroes now, become legends with a win. Become legends. Jalen Carter will become a legend with a win. Jalen Carter is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. There's nothing I can say that will tell you that he's he is absolutely ridiculous, and I cannot believe that he fell 10 to us. I will always say that. I cannot believe that. Jordan Davis has turned it on in the playoffs. Since so has Nolan Smith. These three Georgia Bulldogs are ridiculous. They play nasty. They just play in the trenches. They're so and Josh Sweat is being Josh Sweat. And Josh Sweat is a total just how do I say this? Havoc wreaker. Sure. He wrecks havoc. He just wrecks. He's awesome. I really hope we pay him. And even it's funny, we're so deep at that line, the defensive line, that Milton Williams is going to get paid somewhere and he's going to be amazing. And Milton Williams doesn't even start for us. Milton Williams comes in on passing downs and even running downs. Like, he's stud. So, I mean, I can't say enough about this defense. Defense is awesome. Which is why we destroyed the Commanders, because we just had the better defense. And I think Jaden Daniels before I say that, Jaden Daniels is amazing. And he's going to be even better. And me personally, as an Eagles fan, I will admit I'm afraid of Jaden Daniels in 2026 and 27 because I'm very, if he stays healthy, that guy's going to be ridiculous. But this defense is so much different from the third string Lions defense that he just played. And this is not me taking anything away from the Lions, because I think the Lions healthy beat us. But the Lions just got so hurt. It was going to catch up with them eventually. And they just came out flat, and Jared Goff didn't look good. That defense of the Washington, they look really good. Jared Goff just completely fell flat, and that's why I was kind of like, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I thought it was going to be close. Ended up not being close. I mean, obviously there were a few calls that I keep hearing Washington fans go, "Oh, if this didn't happen, this happened." Dude, we hung 55 on you. We hung 55. I don't care. I really don't think one call is going to dictate us not putting up at least 45 points on you like that. And I don't know if you guys can keep up with that, especially with our defense. So that's kind of how I feel about that game. But yeah, I can't say enough about this team. I feel like I was talking to my parents about this and my friends, but I almost feel like I like this team. I relate to this team way more than I related to the other team. I don't really even know why. I probably feel like that could be some of the adversity that I had to. I mean, obviously we all had to go through it last year. Last year was one of the most surprising, upsetting. You can use every word. Like emotional, you could use every word to describe last year. The fact that we started 10-1 and then fell flat, and that was the worst collapse I've ever seen in all sports. And it was shocking. It was shocking. So maybe that's why I feel more of a connection to this team, because it is a very similar team. And I feel like they're playing with a lot more heart. And I love that Vic Fangio used to be an Eagles fan and is now coaching. That's like if I went on to coach like the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Like, that's amazing. That's like a dream job. Like that'd be ridiculous. But I just love the stories. The stories all over this team are amazing. They're amazing. I think if you love a narrative, you're probably going to fall in love with the Chiefs this next 2 weeks, as no one in football has ever repeated ever. And if Patrick Mahomes does it, he becomes Michael Jordan. So very interesting to think about. And if they repeat, then Andy Reid probably becomes the greatest coach of all time too, or at least officially rivals Belichick, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to talk about more like the Chiefs part in the next episode, but I just want to go straight Eagles with this. I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up, though. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. The next one, I'm going to give my full breakdown of like the actual game of the Super Bowl. This one was just kind of like, holy shit, we beat the Commanders for going to the Super Bowl. So stay tuned for the next one. Should be next week. I'll get one of my friends on. We're going to lock it down. We're going to do it. I'm so excited. I mean, me personally, I was thinking about going home, but you know what? I'm just gonna stay here. Why not? I'll go to the parade if we win. We gotta win. Last time I almost planned the parade too much. I feel like I jinxed myself, and then obviously the Eagles didn't win. Um, but I feel like this time I feel less stressed, but like more stressed at the same time because I love this team so much. And I think it's gonna be a great game. Um, I think the tush push is amazing. I mean, this is what I'm gonna finish with. I mean, I get a lot of shit for liking the tush push, but at the same time, like, do you want me to not like the tush push? Like, I love when people either on social media or in person are fans of other teams, and they're like, "Why do you like the tush push? Like, it's not even fun." It's fun for me. I can tell you that for a fact. I like first downs and I like touchdowns, and obviously the team likes it too. So, yay tush push! I love it. I don't know how I got on this tangent, but here we are. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Go Birds! I'm gonna try to clip this a little bit. I know I'm a little glitchy, but sorry. Check out. I mean, TikTok is still alive. So check out the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're consuming this. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. I will see you next week. And go Birds, baby! Let's go.